Well, Joseph Duffy, Matt Sullivan from Duffy, thank you both so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about the design, amazing design you guys did. I'm so excited by this thing. Hopefully everybody online got their copy of the invitation to submit their things. That we got this amazing poster. I love this thing. This is gorgeous. I'm going to frame it. But in all seriousness, thank you guys so much for all the hard work that you did on this and for being here to chat with us tonight. Tell us a little bit about your process and how you came to this.
Sure. Thanks, Brock. Super excited to be involved this year. Been a while since we've been involved. So, just got to make sure that we're adding to the community as much as possible. That really came from Matt, our designer here, who said, he raised his hand and said, I think we should do this, and I want to lead it. So, really a lot of this falls on him and him being proactive and getting us back involved in the AIGA Minnesota Design Show. Our process is pretty simple. We try to imagine where we want to go. And then once we kind of get that look and feel established from found imagery and kind of thoughts where we want to be, we then dig into design. If we get the phase one correct, we dig into phase two. We don't have to do all kinds of different variations. We kind of know what we want to do. And I think this year, this idea of, or the theme of create and curate was for us to kind of think about how we can bring some of Minnesota to life within the elements of the show and little landmarks throughout our community, and do so in kind of a fun and vibrant way that doesn't detract from the actual work that's being presented.
Awesome. Matt, thank you, first of all, for pushing to get Duffy involved. Love that. Tell us about kind of, your inspiration for the work and kind of how you came to this particular design.
Sure. Well, just in general, the direction of the design was built in strategy, just kind of researching where AIGA Minnesota is, looking into the core values and principles, and also kind of the brief we were presented with create and curate, looking at that both literally and where it contextually lies within AIGA and just art and design in general. And then from there, within that strategy, we came up with some design principles in which we pulled imagery for, which kind of helped direct the design in the direction that we think aligned with the strategy pretty well. So some keywords that stood out to me that helped with the visual direction was just artistry and connection. And a lot of the images we pulled for inspiration were based in just like artistry, like it's made by someone's hand. You can see the artist's hand at work. A lot of the connection is just interconnected typography and iconography, similar to what Joe said about the Minnesota connection. A lot of the iconography we used was based off of Minnesota iconography, like skylines, landscapes, or even literally the state of Minnesota. We use that as well. And I just love that connectedness of it. And yeah.
Love Babe and Paul Bunyan.
Yeah.
Gotta have Paul and Babe when you're talking about Minnesota.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My personal favorite is the fish. I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So we're all designers here. We all know what it's like to work with clients. So give me the inside scoop. What's it like to have other designers for clients? I mean, were they just a pain in the ass? I promise not to tell them.
Yeah, right. The funny thing about that is you always think, well, when you're working with designers, it's going to be easier because they get it. What we found with client designers is sometimes it's the opposite, mostly because they want to jump in. They see something, they think about what they would do if they were the designer in this particular case. I'll say that did not happen in this project, which was great. And again, understandable on both sides. We kind of get it either way. But no, the AIGA Minnesota team was fantastic. They provided some feedback of things that they like. And, for designers like us, when we're creating things, we're trying to figure out where our guardrails are, how far we push one way or the other. And when somebody gives you a project that says, you can do whatever you want, kind of like this one, it's actually harder and I think that's counterintuitive for what many people who aren't in the design industry would think, because you kind of want to figure out what you should or shouldn't do, as opposed to I can do everything. So the team left it pretty wide open, but they did ask, to try to make sure that the concept of create and curate, or the theme, was evoked throughout the entire design. And then this idea of this inclusion. So making sure that we're not just talking about the city, we're not underrepresenting the rural areas of Minnesota. And so that's why we used things like Paul Bunyan and Babe, which would be more considered for northern Minnesota, things like the loons and other landscapes or more natural elements, but then bringing in the cities and the urban thing as well, with the rooster from the Walker, the Vikings, of course, biking, and then things like biking and skiing can kind of cross-pollinate both sides of the entire state. So that was some of the things that we were thinking about throughout.
Fantastic. Well, Joseph, Matt, thank you guys so much. Love getting the piece. It was just absolutely perfect. And hey, listen, if you out there, attendees, didn't get your copy, it's because your membership isn't current. So here's a little push. Go ahead and become a member, and make sure that you get all the latest mail from AIGA Minnesota, including these absolutely wonderful, amazing design pieces that the great designers in our state put out and participate in AIGA Minnesota. Thank you guys so much to both of you, and of course to the entire Duffy team. I know that any project like this is teamwork. And we really appreciate it, and we really enjoyed working with you, and hope we weren't too difficult of a client.
Not at all.
No.
Thanks, Brock. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you,
everybody.
Brock.
Thank you, guys.